Breaking news. Considered.
The Elias Macko Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
It's a tragic moment. It's a real nightmare. And knowing that you get engaged in the police to protect and serve and get killed, it's a dramatic moment for me as a chief.
Yes, this is a tough moment for Montrealers. This is a tough moment for all the Quebecers. The Montreal police have lost a member of his family. He's fallen, but he'll never be forgotten. Now to stand down all the operation in terms of fighting someone that was shooting, the suspect was neutralized. So the threat was neutralized.
That was Montreal Police Chief Frank Elgar and Quebec's Public Security Minister Yann Lafrenière. Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Mackos today. Following yesterday's tragic shooting in Côte-des-Neiges, many Montrealers find themselves today looking for answers. Beyond the heartbreaking loss of life, the incident has once again put a spotlight on the challenges that police officers face when responding to violent and very quickly evolving situations. In the hours that followed the shooting yesterday, a major police operation unfolded as investigators worked to both secure the scene, gather evidence, identify suspects, and reassure the community that Montreal is a safe place to live. So this morning, we're taking a deeper look at that police operation that followed the shooting, what investigators would be focused on now, what happens behind the scenes in the critical immediate hours after a major incident like we saw yesterday. Joining me now is François Doré. He's a former investigator and police officer with the Sûreté du Québec. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Doré.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, what is something that most people don't understand when they hear about these big police operations? I know yesterday people were getting frustrated about the lack of information that was coming out, but that is very often intentional by police because a lot of buildings were under lockdown in the area. A major highway, the Carriata route, was shut down. So sometimes information not being released to the public is for the public's safety, isn't it?
It is for public safety because this kind of operation is like when you have an active shooter around the school, you close the school, you put all the children inside classes, nobody walks out, and police are getting in to find the suspect, neutralize the threat. This is what happened yesterday on a bigger scale, I would say, because yes, it was quite big. There was some message asking people to lock yourself inside your home. Don't open the door. Don't go close to the windows. There might be an active shooter. There was an active shooter, knowing what we know now. And there were at one point the possibility that there was another suspect. And this is what the police was working with. Is there another suspect? Considering the kind of firearm that was used, they had to protect, they had to be very careful of what was going on.
And obviously what happened yesterday is horrible. A civilian was killed, a police officer was killed, and the gunman was killed as well. So 3 deaths total. But all I can think, and as horrible as it was, is it could have been so much worse. And a big reason it wasn't an absolute massacre is because of the way police responded, right? Absolutely,
because they're taught to go against the threat, not to go away, but to go against, to meet the threat and act very, very fast. So the answer of that was done was good. First police officers, they don't have to wait to be 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. The first police officers that were in the scene were involved, and thanks to them, unfortunately, one was killed. The other police officer was hurt. Yeah, but thanks to them, the suspect was no longer a threat, and other police officers came in after that to make sure that everybody around was safe.
Now, what is going on behind the scenes? Obviously, you know, people were talking about all the sirens that they were hearing. There were tons of emergency vehicles and police officers and people deployed to the scene. You know, once the shooter has been neutralized and you need to figure out if there's a second person or a third person involved, you know, once sort of, let's say everything is secure and you know, the lockdown is lifted, what do those next few hours look like? I assume that's when things are handed over to the Bureau des Enquêtes, or...
Yeah, but the first thing is to make sure that the entire surrounding is safe for people. then it will be transferred to the Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes because the police officer was involved in this shooting, and they will lead the investigation. We'll see that later, that's for sure. But the first thing is all police officers on the scene, the MUC police, and they requested the Sûreté du Québec to be there to help them. So many police officers were there to make the place secure and safe for everybody. And it took some time, that's for sure, because we didn't know for sure at that time was there another suspect or not. When they were sure, they would open the Carry Highway, they would open buildings, they would open streets, and life can take his place. Yeah.
In conversation with François Doré, former investigator and police officer with the Sûreté du Québec, I would rather they take their time, and it's better to be safe than sorry, right? You don't want to lift measures too soon and have the situation escalate and get worse, right?
Absolutely, definitely. And there's another thing. There was a lot of rumors that we heard yesterday. And at one point, I've heard someone saying, well, we don't know what is going on. Police is not talking too much to the people, to the media. And there's one reason for that. Because if there was another suspect, the other suspect was able to listen to the radio, the TV, and know where the police officers were, where they were going. This is some kind of danger. This is why the police officers would not tell everything right now unless the situation is over.
100%. So what do the next steps look like? We mentioned that it was handed over to the Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes. So, how does this work? Obviously, there's an investigation. Police and investigators are going to try and understand what motivated this gunman. Apparently, there was a 140-page manifesto. So they're going to try and figure out what happened. The gunman is dead. So how do we achieve justice here?
Well, they will take their time to look into everything, though this manifesto as well, to learn who he is. Does he have people that did help him to achieve what he went through? Apparently, he was from Alberta. He traveled from Alberta to Montreal, apparently. And, they will look into the whole situation to be sure that he was alone, knowing what they know right now. And this investigation will lead to le directeur des poursuites criminelles et pénales to investigate, will determine if there will be charges against someone or not. Obviously, the threat cannot be accused because he's dead, but was there somebody else? This is what the investigation will look into.
Monsieur Doré, you're a former police officer yourself. Help walk me through what it's like to be a Montreal police officer today after one of your own was killed in the line of duty yesterday, and you have to show up today, put on that uniform, put on that badge, and go back out into the streets. What's going through their minds right now?
A lot of things, to be honest. A lot of things, but they have to carry on. They have to be the same. They have to be there to serve and protect, the famous motto, serve and protect. But knowing that something terrible happened yesterday, and it could happen again, but working hard to share information with other police officers, with others for their forces, to be sure that this kind of thing will never take place again in Montreal or somewhere else in Canada. This is a tragedy for everybody, but police are back. They're in Montreal. They're on patrol. They're investigating, and they will continue because that's who they are. I might be retired, but I've lost a comrade yesterday. Yeah. I've lost someone in my community because when you're police officers, you're always a police officer, even if you're retired. So I was deeply touched yesterday, by what happened. But life goes on, and we all have to be there.
François Doré is a former investigator and police officer with the Sûreté du Québec. Thank you so much for helping us shed some light on this awful, awful tragedy.
Thank you very much and have a good day.
You as well. 10:15 is the time here on CJ.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back
2010s, the decade.
to the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd.
and more. All your decade-defining favorites all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away. Time is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macko Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Mackos today with you until 12 p.m. How's that little voice inside your head doing? You know, the one that tells you you're not good enough, you're not doing enough. Well, new research from McGill University suggests it's not just about worrying about how much money we have that affects our well-being. It's about how we actually stack up against those around us, keeping up with the Joneses, if you will. Apparently, even when people earn similar incomes, those who think they're worse off than their peers tend to report lower life satisfaction and overall well-being. It's a pretty striking finding, especially because it points to something psychological rather than purely financial, our sense of where we stand socially. Joining me now is Dr. Frank Elgar, professor, McGill School of Population and Global Health. Hi, Professor Elgar. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Robin. Pleasure to be here.
It's interesting because we've often talked about this concept of keeping up with the Joneses, but now we have sort of, statistical proof that you could earn the same as somebody else, but if you think they're doing better than you, you're going to have sort of a negative self-image. Tell me a little bit more about what you found.
Exactly. This is one of the oldest theories, oldest ideas from the field of behavioral economics. And it's called the relative deprivation or relative poverty. And the idea is simply that the greater the shortfall in income or wealth that you either perceive or actually have compared to people you compare yourself to. So think of colleagues at work, neighbors on your street. If you are feeling or you're actually falling behind, that has an impact on various measures of health and well-being, including this concept of flourishing, which is what we investigated. But you're essentially right. It's the keeping up with the Joneses mentality. Yeah. It's a very human instinct, but it does make an impact overall on the sense of well-being.
I always tell myself, Professor Elgar, that the people next to me may be earning the same amount of me and have more stuff because they're in debt. They've got that big fancy car, so they've got, higher payments every month than I do, or they go on that vacation and they've got to pay down their high interest credit card debt after they go away on that vacation. That's how I make myself sleep better at night. I don't know. Does that work?
Well, I think you're touching on something that wealth doesn't seem to equate with status unless you project it. And obviously, spending yourself into debt, so you have more showiness signs of social status. That is also a zero-sum gain, and it's probably not worth the trade-off of being in financial debt.
For sure. Does the relationship between perceived financial standing and well-being appear consistently across different groups? Are men more susceptible, perhaps, to feel like they need to keep up with the Joneses or different countries? What are you seeing?
Well, we looked at data from over 20 countries worldwide, including some high-income countries and lower and middle-income countries. This is a universal human thing. Wow. So it's found everywhere you look. It doesn't seem to matter if it's an area or a community of affluence or fewer resources. This relative deprivation thing can impact health and well-being no matter where you are, which tells you right away that we're talking about something at a psychological level. When we looked at different groups, we actually found that young people under the age of 25 showed this effect more strongly than older adults, particularly female youth. So maybe the social pressures, those social comparisons, have more salience for younger adolescent girls. But again, it's across the board, across all the outcomes we looked at in well-being. And I want to underscore, we're not talking about not getting sick. These are the aspects of well-being that make life worth living. Do you appreciate, do you feel fulfilled by your social relationships with others? You have a sense of purpose about your work? I'm feeling, a sense of meaning and purpose in your life. These sorts of dimensions of well-being are impacted in every group that we looked at around the world.
Has this gotten worse over time? I feel like social media would make this issue worse because, I'm a mom of a young kid and I'm always comparing myself to other moms. It'll be spring break and I see what these moms are doing with their kids and then I feel guilty that I'm not doing enough with my kid, I'm always comparing myself to other moms. So I feel like maybe 50 years ago, your neighbor maybe had a nicer car than you, but you didn't really know a whole lot about what he was spending his money on. But now it's in your face. Those vacation pictures are on social media, the brand name clothing, the close-up shots on social media, the Christmas presents under the tree. It's all just in our face now. I feel like it's so much harder to not compare yourself to others.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you've touched on it. With social media, it's very difficult to get away from these upward social comparisons, and I think young people are affected more than others in that regard. And in other work that we've done, we find these perceptions of relative deprivation among young people and their schoolmates affecting things like social media use, being addicted to social media apps as well, like not being able to put it down, and also online gambling, which is another interesting outcome. So you can see that it's making people ill at ease with their social standing and wanting to project more than they actually have.
Very interesting. I wonder if there's a way that we can combat this. I find it interesting that you said young women were more likely to engage in this comparative behavior. I definitely compared myself to others when I was younger about if I had the right makeup or the right hair or the right clothes. Now I'm 40 and I really couldn't care less about that kind of stuff. But I'm still comparing myself to other moms. That's something that I'm still doing. So I wonder if there's a way out of this mindset.
It's difficult, I think like you, it gets under your skin in very subtle ways. We just tend to be more interested in what our coworkers are earning compared to us.
Well, thankfully, I'm self-employed, Professor Elgar. So.
Oh, very good.
Not an issue. I got the worst boss in the world, I tell you.
Yeah, but I think you need to look for opportunities to not look upward so much and not be too freaked out by how much wealthier or better off, how your house compares or your car compares to others on the street. And just appreciate what you have. Because, I don't know if there's an anecdote for this. This is a byproduct of widening economic inequality between rich and poor. At the individual level, we see these effects of feeling like you're falling behind others. But I think the more you can do to appreciate what you have and maybe serve others less fortunate than you, in my mind, that's the only antidote really to protect yourself and just feel more at ease and happier in your life.
Yeah, working with people who are less fortunate than you is definitely a much needed perspective shift. So that's some solid advice there. Frank Elgar, professor in McGill's School of Population and Global Health. Thank you so much. This was a great discussion. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Robin. It's a pleasure. Good day.
You are welcome. We're coming up on 10:30. My name's Robin Flynn. I'm filling in for Elias Makos, and I'm with you until 12 p.m. Did your car get stuck in the flood on Saturday? My sister sent me a crazy photo on Saturday. They were out for some event for my nephew for football, some jamboree team thing, I don't know. And they were driving back home when the skies opened up and their car basically was monsooned and it started steaming or smoking. They didn't know what was going on and she just turned it off and they walked home. She sent me this photo of them in like waist deep water trying to get home in a crazy situation. But what happens to your car in that kind of situation? Is the damage permanent? Is your car a write-off all of a sudden? What if the next day your car turns on? Seems fine. Could there still be issues down the line? We're going to speak with George Iny, Automobile Protection Association, coming up after the news at 10:30.
Pride is like love. You feel it in your heart. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio and podcasts, including iHeart Pride Canada, your favorite hits, and must-have party bangers, plus personalized and curated playlists like Back in the Day Pride.
Come together, celebrate love.
Take Pride with you, anytime, anywhere. Just ask your smart speaker to play iHeart Pride Canada. Stream us on your phone or listen now at iHeartRadio.ca.
The Elias Macco Show. On demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
If your car was partially submerged in water during the flash flood on Sunday, could it be a write-off? We're going to speak with George Iny in a moment.
Your mom told you not to talk back. But we feel very differently. In fact,
we want you to talk back and record your comment via the CJAD 800 page on the iHeartRadio app.
Another way to have your say on the voice of the community.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio experience. You and a pal with weekend gold tickets to Lasso Montreal. Thomas Red. Mumford & Sons. John Party, Old Dominion, Carly Pierce, and more. And the prize gets even sweeter with 3 nights at Residence Inn downtown Montreal and $1,000 cash. Download the free iHeartRadio app. Listen to this station for 10 minutes and enter to win. Lasso Montreal. Every day you listen is another chance to win. Pride is like love. You feel it in your heart. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio and podcasts, including iHeart Pride Canada, your favorite hits, and must-have party bangers, plus personalized and curated playlists like Back in the Day Pride.
Come together, celebrate love.
Take Pride with you, anytime, anywhere. Just ask your smart speaker to play iHeart Pride Canada. Stream us on your phone or listen now at iHeartRadio.ca.
Stories impacting Montrealers. News impacting Montreal. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Robin Flynn filling in for Elias. 1 minute it was raining. The next minute, half the city was underwater. As residents across Montreal are dealing with flooded basements, destroyed belongings, mountains of cleanup, many are also seeing something a little more uplifting. Neighbors stepping in to help each other, whether it's lending a wet vac, a pump, delivering a meal, simply checking in on somebody who's had a rough couple of days. Those small acts of kindness can make a huge difference. We're joined now by Dave Pouliot to talk about how communities can come together and help each other recover after things like we had this weekend. Dave Pouliot, flood volunteer over in Pierrefonds. He called into the show yesterday, and I was told my producer, I was like, you got to write this guy's number down. I want to get him back on the show. So Dave, thank you so much for coming back on. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. How are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you. So tell me a little bit more about this group. You say you're a flood volunteer in Pierrefonds. Is there like some sort of organized group where you guys are like deployed when there's a situation like we saw on the weekend?
Yeah, Benoit Langevin, our city councilor, organizes it. And there's a group of us, and we've been going out since 2019. And every year there's a flood or a possible flood. We're all put on notice that we could go out or... so it's a really good system that he's come up with.
Wow.
And it really, like, we're going after the elderly, especially the elderly, because they're limited in their capabilities at times.
Yeah, if you're, of reduced mobility, a senior who, maybe doesn't have the same muscle tone you once did, it can be hard to bail water out of your basement or move belongings, lift furniture. You're going to need somebody who can help you.
Well, that's just it. Like, that, like when you've got a sofa that weighs, like 500 pounds because it's just completely drenched.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I was over helping out on one other house yesterday, and the guy showed me a picture of another house down the street, and we can't do it right now because we were only 2. And the Gas Metropolitan was putting in new gas lines. So all their front lawns on the street were all ripped up. Anyways, this guy ended up with so much mud in his house on top of the flooding.
Ugh.
Oh, it's
nightmare.
A disaster. I saw the pictures. I just didn't know what to say.
So what do you do exactly when you are out and about? Like you said, you get a little warning. We're getting a lot of rain, potentially flood issues. Are you deployed to specific neighborhoods, addresses? And when you get there,
we're given addresses by Benoit Langevin. It's Benoit. Hold on, let me just pull it up. It's Benoit.Langevin at Montreal.ca.
Cool.
And we're all a group, so we're all in a chat group. So he'll send out, can anybody go to this certain address?
Okay.
And then we'll reply yes, no, on our way, right around the corner, whatever the case might be.
And what do you do?
It's a really good system.
What do you do when you get there? I guess it's a case by case basis, depending on what kind of help the person needs.
Yeah, it's all case by case. So, so sometimes it just might be moving some furniture up into the garage. Sometimes, we don't get into like demolishing walls or ripping up floors. It's just moving personal belongings.
And sometimes I think probably just having someone there to go, oh my God, just to commiserate with them, I think would make a huge difference. I remember.
Oh yeah, it's huge. And, so I mean, they're so grateful, it's just unbelievable. And like, I got to tip my hat to the city workers also, are going above and beyond their expectations as well.
For sure. I remember when we had that big flood a couple of years ago, August 2024, a friend of mine on the West Island, I think she's in Kirkland, her basement was flooded horrifically, like several feet of water in her basement. Yeah. And, I don't know, I can't help with construction. I'm not, I've got the upper body strength of a jellyfish. I'm not going to be able to help her, lift furniture and stuff. But I went over the next day with coffee and muffins because that's how I was going to help. And I just...
Well, that's appreciated. And that's
for sure.
People do. They'll give us water, they'll give it... And because they're so appreciative. But one thing I got to tell you, Robin, that unfortunately we live in such I don't know how to put it, but it's such a corrupt society that I take a knife and I cut the sofas.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing, and I saw it with my own eyes, people are picking up sofas, and next thing you know, they're on Marketplace.
And they're selling these like waterlogged sofas.
They dry them out and whatever. And I just take a knife to it or scissors or whatever I have, and I break it, I cut it, I destroy it.
That's good advice.
This way they can't do this to, other victims.
Do you find a lot of the time the people you're showing up at their house, they just kind of want to, give you a tour of the damage? That's what happened with my friend when I showed up with coffee. She's like, come see my basement. And I just toured the basement with her and just, was like, oh, this is awful. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I think that helps, honestly.
Oh yeah, it so does. I mean, it shows, what they have, and like, we've emptied out like people's complete basements and just thrown it to the side, vintage furniture, and like, it's just so sad that, their people are throwing out half their lives. Pictures, photo albums, it's unbelievable.
Is there still?
I feel so bad for these people because
I bet.
I've never flooded, so I've never known what it is. I look in my basement going, well, I'm lucky because I'd be one of these people.
100%.
And I'm so glad I'm not in that predicament, but I'm also happy that I can give my expertise. I do home renovation, so I can give some expertise. I tell people, make sure that your furnaces are emptied of water because a lot of people do not empty out their furnaces.
Yep, and then you're breathing in that air.
Furnaces is like a basin of water.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can give a little bit of my expertise in that field and tell them what they should do and not do, like backflow valves. People, including myself, highly, highly recommend backflow valves, but it's not the end all of the situation. I was just over at my brother-in-law's group home, and his neighbor across the street was telling me that them and two other neighbors, their backflow valves broke.
Oh boy.
Because of the pressure of the water. But so it does help to a certain point, not to what we have, but it does help, and I recommend it to everybody who doesn't have one. You need to get one.
Yeah, step one. We had a caller yesterday who said she had, after a flood a few years ago, they replaced all the pumps and the valves and everything was upgraded, but she said on Saturday, the water was literally coming in through the walls and the windows in her basement,
that's what my neighbor, I spent 5 hours and I saved half of her basement. It's completely dry. And, the water was just coming in through the foundation walls. Her backyard was a swimming pool.
Jeez.
It was like you didn't see any more grass. It was just water. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do, Robin. That's the unfortunate part. Everybody's yelling at the city, upgrade the sewer systems. Yes, that is part of the problems. We're dealing with infrastructure from 1960 where we didn't have 6 million condos. We didn't have all these houses.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because I live on the South Shore in Chateauguay, which was a very hard-hit area actually as well on the weekend. And the mayor of Chateauguay posted a video on Facebook, Eric Allard, yesterday, and he detailed the fact that when they were elected, they came up with this plan to upgrade Chateaugay's infrastructure. Chateauguay is a really old town, like 350 years old, and they wanted to upgrade the city's sewers and drainage systems, and they requested a $4.6 million investment investment from the provincial government in 2025, and it was denied. So, yes, they need to upgrade their infrastructure, but it costs a lot more than these cities have.
So, yeah, where do you start? I mean, you can't put the blame solely on the government and on the infrastructure. So things have to change from here on out, because we know what's going to happen in next month, or for sure by this time next year, it's going to happen again.
Yep.
And so we know what's going to happen. So we got to get better prepared for this stuff. You know, and you're going to have to take your own initiatives and do some of your own planning. And yes, the government should be offering big time help to people with, you don't have a backwater valve, you don't have a sub pump. Okay, let's give plans out for this. Instead of giving people, you know, pocket change of, here's $200, go buy some groceries. That's not going to help us. What's going to help us is backflow valves, sub pumps, better infrastructure. This is where they should be spending their money.
Yep. Dave Pouliot is a flood volunteer out in Pierrefonds. Has been doing it since 2019. Thank you so much for the work that you do and for calling and shedding some light on what that looks like for you. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Robin. Have a good afternoon.
You as well. There he goes. That's a really cool initiative that they've got over in Pierrefonds. I think every city should have something like that, a little sort of task force that you can deploy in an emergency situation like that. What a great idea. Okay, coming up after the news, we are going to continue this conversation about the floods from this past weekend. Countless homes and businesses were hit with the flood. Actually, in Chateauguay, where I live, we have a brand new, beautiful retro amusement center arcade. It has like all the old school pinball machines and Pac-Man machines, and they have like an indoor 18-hole mini putt course. I took my nephew and my daughter there a few weeks ago. We had so much fun. Just opened last month. Yeah, they're shut down because they were completely flooded. The golf course apparently is destroyed. A bunch of their pinball machines are destroyed. They just opened. Oh, I feel so bad for these businesses. But we also had other locations that were hit with floodwaters, including Union United Church in the Sud-West. We're going to speak with somebody from the church after James's news update.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. I'm coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.